Alright, we are doing a test of installation of the Timeless Elegance Vanilla Maple. We have a customer that has an issue in terms of installation, so we wanted to do a quick demonstration of the angle-to-angle locking of this particular material. So we'll start off locking our end joints first in our very first row. And on your first row, you always want to make sure you get a perfect line up, or else the rest of your installation is going to be off.
Okay, we're going to start showing how the end joints lock together.
Yep, do the end joints when you start your end joints. With your first row, it's very simple. You're just going to be pretty much matching up end joints.
Move that finger. Thank you.
Matching up the end joints.
Right.
That's your first row. Now in your first row, you always want to make sure that this is smooth going across, a tad bit off. So I want to adjust it back a little bit.
I see.
Now it's smooth going across, so that way your installation won't get worse as you go on. Alright. And this, of course, is an angle-to-angle locking. Make sure your end joints are nice and snug, which these are good. Now in terms of getting started, starting is the hardest portion. So what we'll do, normally you want to try to work on the opposite side of the laminate, but you can't do that, of course, because there's a wall in the way. So what we'll do is we'll move out the flooring about, 3-4 feet. Makes it a little easier so you can flip yourself around and work on the opposite way. We'll put our knees on the laminate so we got some bracing. Always offset your end joints by at least more than 8 inches. And what we'll do is we'll get locked in here a little bit. Yep, locking mechanism on the long sides here. This one right here only requires about a 20-degree angle.
Okay.
And then, you see it lock in?
Sure do.
The current row that you're always working on will always cup up a little bit. You always want to leave that up because that way your locking mechanism is not fully engaged, which is what you want to do on this angle to angle.
Why don't you want it fully engaged at this point?
The reason you don't want it fully engaged is because if you fully engage this piece by going all the way down, your next plank that you try to put in because of an angle to angle, it's going to be really hard to install it. Because you have to really bang it with your hand, and with this locking fully engaged, it's really hard to get this piece locked in.
Okay.
So you always want to have it up a little bit.
Sorry about the shakiness.
Up a little bit. Keep it somewhat engaged. And then we'll come over here.
You're going to do the end first?
Lock the end joint first and get as close as you can to the long edge right here.
Okay.
Go down. Engage a little bit. Now I know this little portion right here, so you take the butt of your hand, lock it in. Sometimes that will make this pop open. That's okay. Just get your fingers and lock it. There you go. That's engaged. That row is still hanging up. That's common. You always want to leave it like that. Our next piece here.
We're obviously not going to cut a piece because we don't want to.
Yeah, well, when you get to this portion of the wall here, you're going to eventually cut off.
Right, which we're not going to do for the demo.
We're not doing it for the demonstration. There you go. That's locked in.
So now you've got a whole row that's lifted up a little bit.
Yep, that whole row is always going to be up whatever current row you're working on. You want to leave it up like that with the current row that you're working on.
And then when you're finished?
When you're finished, then you'll go down, at the end of the row, put your fingers here, and hit it down, keeping pressure on it.
And now those are pretty solidly locked together. They're not going to come apart. Okay.
Yep, that's locked.
And sideways too, those?
Oh, the end joints here?
Yeah. Nothing going on there either.
Trying to pick it apart. Well, this end joints really won't come apart because this is here.
Okay.
Once you get that full row done, you can go back and just start pushing down. Keep a little pressure on your fingers here. That way your locking stays engaged.
So as you're hitting with your left hand, you're holding it down with your right.
Yeah, hold the hand with right here, and then just hit down here, move it around. That's fully engaged now.
Okay.
So once that's done, now we're ready to move on to our next row.
Okay.
Always offset your end joints. Keep the locking somewhat up. See, once you get the hang of this, it starts to become a little easier. Now it's kind of be where you might want to wear some pad on your hands because your hands will be sore by the end of the day.
So gloves or something?
Gloves or pad or something, anything. Make it a little easier.
Okay, so now you've got a third row, and it's all sort of levitating again.
And it's levitating. Pressure.
And then once you've got enough that you can go from the other side.
Yeah, once you get about 3 or 4 rows done where you can actually keep yourself flipped on this side of the installation, then go ahead and just, get down here, push it back to where you need it to be.
Of course, we have a doorstop in the way.
Yeah, that door's down the way down there, so I can't really go up this wall, but I'd say on this particular floor, don't push it back until you probably get at least 5 rows done.
Okay.
Then once you get those 5 rows done, you can easily continue on with your installation and put your spacers down and push the flooring back.
When you start, which side of the board is toward us? Which part of the locking mechanism is facing us as we start?
When you start installation,
Facing away from the wall.
facing away from the wall, you should have the groove, which is the bottom portion of the locking.
Okay.
That's what should be facing out.
Facing out. So that's going to be facing you when you start.
Yes.
And you went from right to left.
Yeah.
As you face the wall.
Because you have to work off of the grooves
Okay.
on the angle-to-angle style of locking.
And so you've got a groove facing you, and you've got a groove on this side of the plank that you have to go into.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, of course, when you flip yourself around, you're going left to right because you've changed your...
Yeah, you flip yourself around 180 degrees, so you're going to be working left to right.
Okay.
And that should get your installation done on this type of material. If you got any questions, definitely feel free to give us a call.